we have the same problems, we have the same concerns, but the solutions that the Mamdanis are pushing don't work, and they make them worse.
Welcome back to
Ami's house.
We are joined today by someone who's been out there making the rounds, contributor, social media manager, I would say, for the Free Press. Am I getting that right? We are here
Editor.
Social media editor for the Free Press. See, we're not as pro as the other media outlets you've been on. I'm so sorry about that. Lucy Biggers, welcome to Ami's house. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
I want to set it up like the classic anchors you're used to. So you campaigned for AOC in 2018, and now you're warning people against her. What is that about, and what are you... No, we'll keep it regular.
I'm a turncoat.
Yeah, exactly. Well, so there's a lot of hyperbole out there. I'm guilty of it myself about Mamdani and AOC and more largely speaking, these sort of left-wing populism that I see on the rise. There's a lot of hysteria. There's a lot of reactionary postures that are out there. But as somebody who came from that world, who was once one of these voters, can you first just outline for us from your perspective who the Mamdani/AOC voter is? Who's the demographic? Who is that person that these messages are appealing to as someone who was once a part of that and persuaded by it?
Totally. Yeah. Well, great question. I think that the voter we can see from exit polls is the college-educated person, professional person, maybe making around $100,000 a year, maybe a little bit underemployed, can't quite afford their rent, frustrated with maybe the American dream not panning out the way that they wanted, and probably working some sort of white collar job. And I think it's the people who have the time to intellectualize these concepts of like socialism, maybe socialism light, we'll call it, or democratic socialism. And I think the people, speaking from my own experience, because I was very left in my 20s, is this idealism that you see inequality in the US, you see poverty, you see unaffordability, and you want to help. And it's so easy to fall into this trap of, if we just spend a little bit more money on the government, a little bit more government money, a little bit more socialism, we could have a utopia in the US. And these evil billionaires, these evil landlords, these evil business owners, they're not paying their fair share. And if they do pay their fair share, we can solve all of our problems. And I will say my biggest gripe with all of this is the New York City has $112 billion, maybe it's $116 billion now budget. We spend $40,000 per head for educating public school students, and half of fourth graders don't read at grade level. So to me, it's not a lack of funding. It's that the system doesn't work. And I think, because I have been making the media rounds, I want a healthy Democratic Party that talks about that, right? Like, we have the money, but why is the money not being spent well? Why is the system broken? I think there's a lot there. Instead of throwing money at a broken system on a wish and a prayer that we know doesn't work. And it frankly creates the problems that we're already seeing, makes them worse. Inflation, cost of living, less industry, rich people leave, you have less tax base. I could go on.
I'm going to put a Republican next to your name on the bottom of this Riverside, if that's okay. No, but
Milton
really focusing
Friedman,
on,
I know.
Yeah. It's coming. It's happening. One more red pill, and we're almost there.
I actually just cut my hair into a bob, guys. I'm like totally like going for it.
Sakamam! Okay, Karen Biggers is here, ladies and gentlemen. Very good. On our way. So we're trying to, Michael, you could chime in here about like how we're trying to be gracious in this conversation towards the voter that you once were, like really your younger self, because you really see yourselves in these people, whereas maybe, we're looking at it and it's very easy for that boomer energy to come out and shun them and just crap on them. But there's a challenge there, Michael.
Yeah. And also, I'm 39, Ami's 39. I think you said in your article you're
38.
35. 38. Yeah. We grew up, we graduated. We're a really interesting specific age, me and Ami. Like Facebook,
recession kids.
Yeah, Facebook came on while we were like freshmen in college. Like we are that generation. We are Mark
You're my
Zuckerberg's
sister's age.
Mm-hmm. Sure. And we
we're your age, Lucy. We're your age. Okay.
You're like my older sister. She's much older than me.
We graduated into the recession in 2009, where people who thought they were going to be who thought they were going to be in finance and consultants did not get to do that. People who thought they were going to go into marketing did not get to do that. Everyone went into startups because that was the only thing to do. Everyone went to law school because that was the only thing to do. and like nearing age 40, which is terrifying to say. But, you know, there's still this feeling, I think, among us and a lot of our friends of like this instability, of this precariousness,
Mm-hmm.
of not really being sure if we're going to be okay. You know, like I think
Mm-hmm.
most people I know, whether they come from very wealthy families or not very wealthy families, still get a lot of help from their parents. Like we are that generation. Maybe after college you moved in with your parents, like that helps. But like,
Right.
you know, that counts. But
Totally.
like everyone is still sort of being supported by the previous generation who benefited so much from capitalism.
And they always crush it, the boomers.
Yeah, exactly.
They just ride the wave. They're such a lucky generation.
Mm-hmm.
And they love to lecture us about how we're not like working hard enough, or like they like fell into so much of what they have,
Yeah.
you know,
while taking pride in us not having to work as hard as they did in the factories because their parents were working class. So
Right.
they were always, the messaging was like, well, I had to work through the summers, but you can go to camp and have fun with your friends because, you know, well, I don't get to do that. But I'm taking pride in the fact that you don't have to. And now I lecture you in the fact that you don't have the work ethic I have. So it's this funny mixed message. Have your cake and eat it too.
And then we're overscheduling our kids, our generation, spending so much money making sure that they have activities every 5 seconds.
Right.
God forbid.
Yeah.
Yes. It's always the previous generation that did it right. But go ahead, Michael. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so I think we've like aged out maybe of socialism a little bit, but the truth is we have the same problems as like a 25-year-old who's voting for Mamdani. Like I almost would be a Mamdani voter if like I didn't have a little bit more wisdom, quote unquote.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. I think that's the whole thing. I think that's why I wrote my piece for the Free Press, was just like, I get the appeal. Like if I was 10 years younger, I would vote for him too. And I think there's this projection onto me like, oh, I'm like this soccer mom, LOL. But like my husband and I both work full time, and like we have 2 kids in daycare, we have a mortgage, we're paycheck to paycheck. Like if we can get savings away by the end of the year, we're like, yes, but like we need to freaking work very, very, very hard. Mm-hmm. And it's not like we have like trust funds or anything like that. So like we are working class too, but obviously we're white collar. And so we probably have higher salaries and we have flexibility. But I think the problem is, as I'm talking about this more and trying to like hone my message, is like everything you're saying. We have the same problems. We have the same concerns, but the solutions that the Mamdanis are pushing don't work, and they make them worse. Even in the housing shortage stuff, look at what Cuomo was like cosplaying as a leftist when he was last in office. It was so stupid. Mm-hmm. And he passed some really, really destructive bills because it was a democratically controlled New York State House or whatever state level government, whatever it's called, state Senate. And they passed this Housing Affordability Act in 2019 that capped what you can put on rent controlled apartments at 2% raise, which is my original video that went viral, which I don't know if you guys have seen the video too. Did you see the video too, or just read the article?
I didn't see it. I just read the article.
Oh, okay. So I did like a rant from my suburban mom car, like every basic person ever on TikTok.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I just talked about it. It didn't get into the piece, but basically how this bill that passed in 2019 called the Affordability Housing Act, whatever, capped rent increases by 2%. So the well-meaning Democrats are like, see, now those evil landlords can't raise the rent. The problem with this is that these rent-controlled apartments are a lot of times occupied by the same person for 40 years. If not more. So when an apartment comes online and the owner has been in it since 1970, their rent was $400 a month. So 2% of $400 a month is $8. So you're telling a landlord in 2025 that they can only charge $408 a month on a 1970s apartment that needs to be completely gutted and brought up to 2025 standards. So what's happened now is tens of thousands of apartments in New York are empty because the landlords cannot afford to put $100,000 into them and only charge $400. Like the math doesn't math. It's more affordable for them to let it go empty. And that's just a perfect example of these well-meaning leftist policies that are trying to help working class people, and they completely end up creating the problem that we're now in. And then they blame capitalism.
But Lucy, I'm seeing the Mamdani voter listening to what you just said and going, buzzkill. What is all that boring, wonky technical talk? I want to feel good. I want to feel like I'm part of this revolution and a movement. No,
but I'll push back on that because I'm in going back to what we were saying before in terms of like trying to pay your bills. I do this, and I'm also a real estate broker, so I'm intimately familiar with all this. There was just a
broker's fee law.
Exactly. So literally, I did an open house yesterday, and there were 40 people lined up outside trying to get in, and the apartment ended up going for like hundreds and hundreds of dollars more in a bidding war. than it did before. And I was talking to people outside. I'm like, what do you think of Mamdani? What do you like? How's what's it like looking for an apartment this summer? And they're all like, it's crazier than I've ever seen it before. There are literally 0 apartments on the market. Like, I'll like whatever you want for this, I'll give it to you. Like, it's made things. I think it's an interesting law, but it's made things a lot worse. Like even just this month.
This is the whole thing.
Yeah.
So do you guys follow me on Instagram?
Started to.
You just
Once we booked you for the episode, hold on.
Obviously,
we definitely do.
I don't care if you do or you don't, but I guess whatever. Yeah. I make videos like all the time. So anyway, I'm just referencing one of my videos. I don't care if you've seen it. I'm not like, guys, follow me. But it is just my name, Lucy, at Lucy Biggers. Feel free to follow and follow the Free Press where I work. But I was talking about this yesterday. I made a video about it, how progressives identify as good people. And so most of their beliefs are not examined. They're just the beliefs that good people have. So for example, in my instance, when I was very on the left, I mindlessly supported open borders because that's what good people believed. And then you see millions of people pouring over the border. You learn that, more immigrants hurts working class wages because they compete for the same jobs and bring the wages down. And that actually goes against my values as a progressive, right? Because the workers are who I want to thrive. And so then you should examine your belief on open borders and go, maybe this isn't a good idea. But instead of doing that, where progressives get stuck is they go, well, if I say open borders are bad, that makes me no longer a good person. And I can't make that leap in my identity. So I'm just going to hold all these bad ideas that are actually harmful for society because I'm more attached to holding on to my identity as a good person than figuring out what works.
For sure. This is a bigger question that I'm going to pose to you, which is, it sounds like a lot of the things you're talking about from the position you're in now are trying to be solutions oriented, where you're not trying to go after the character of, say, a Mamdani or an AOC or that vision or their intention, but you're focusing on, okay, we both want similar outcomes, prosperity, everybody's standards of living to rise. We want
choice, honestly.
We want choice. We want these things, but your solutions are wrong. But the question is, though, the thing you just said about being a good person is a sort of character identification. So how do you reconfigure this idea that it's progressive and it makes you virtuous and good to want free markets, to want availability and choice and prosperity, and reconfigure that association? That's
I think
the big challenge.
That's the whole thing. And I think I've just started making content 2 months ago around Memorial Day. So I was an influencer on the left and a climate influencer for like 5 years in the 2010s. From 2015 to 2021. I pushed the Green New Deal. I've interviewed Greta Thunberg like twice. I hated plastic straws. You guys, stop.
She has
I like it. I like it.
You've stolen your childhood. You've stolen your childhood. I was on the flotilla with Greta last week, and now I changed my...
Yeah, I was in Palestine with Greta. Yeah. I helped plastic straws get banned. Sorry. It's good. I always say, if you're going to attack me for one thing, attack me for that. That's such a good attack. Like,
as I'm chewing on a cardboard straw, I'm just going to go, Lucy! Yeah. Oh my God. So yes.
Anyway, I was afraid to speak out. So I was an influencer from 2015 to 2021. Then I changed jobs. I left my old job where I was a host, and I was 1 year at a nonprofit in a producer role. Then I've been at the Free Press for 2.5 years. And in that time I had 2 kids. And I did not post for 5 years because I was so afraid of the backlash, but I had so many of these internal things brewing. And then 2 months ago, I just kind of hit a wall. You kind of have to have these decisions in life. Maybe when you guys decide to make this podcast, where you're like, I just have to make the leap. Like, I can't be 90 years old on my deathbed and looking back and being like, I was afraid of the haters. And so I kind of have just adopted this, like, I don't give a fuck, like, come for me attitude. Like, I defend fossil fuels on my Instagram page. Like, I go all in, and people are like, who are you?
Alex Epstein.
I know. I love Alex Epstein. Literally wearing like a Taylor Swift shirt. People are like, who are you? I love Alex Epstein. And so anyway, but I've only been making videos since Memorial Day. And so to go back to what your point, Ami, about like, how do we switch this culture? Like, that is such a huge why for me, is modeling for people a new paradigm where, like, I get it. People are so triggered by Trump. They don't like Trump. And like, I see their perspective. And then the alternative is Mamdani. And I'm like, okay, there's a third way. It's like the average person who's smart and measured and moderate and solutions oriented. And like, if I can just be an inspiration to one other person to then also take up the cause, like that is my goal. And I get so many DMs from people being like, you're so brave. Thank you so much. I agree with you, but I can't speak out. So I'm like, okay, I'm obviously onto something. Like the normies with normal values have been silenced.
Right. What was your journey from going from AOC supporter to right-wing nut?
To red pill. I like were the first to be like, where the rabbit hole?
Yeah. What was the book, the thinker, the thing, the moment? You're like, or is it just incremental?
It's like so like a death by a thousand cuts, to quote Taylor Swift.
Right.
Okay. So you're like, cool,
a capitalist Swiftie. We love it.
Yeah. I mean, she's a capitalist.
Yeah, for sure.
I defended her flying her private jet. I was like, guys, she's bringing joy to the world. Can we let the woman fly a jet? So I think for me, it was a years of working in a very left-wing newsroom. I succumbed to groupthink. And what happened was when I started there in 2015, 2016, we were Bernie Bros and we were so excited. And I had worked in Mississippi in a small town at a local news station. So when I came to now it's like this racially diverse millennial like magazine of different people working there. We're all progressives. And I just started to pick up on the politics there, which I had not really formed them. And it was like 2015. So social media and like the way it is now wasn't what it was. And so we all were Bernie supporters, free college. And then like I found AOC. I thought she was great. It just made sense in my worldview. And then over the years, what happened was how Slack, everybody's on Slack. And you just started to see this really gross mindset that now has pervaded everything, this sort of oppressor-oppressed mindset where it was no longer about free college. It was you have white privilege and you need to sit down and you can't speak because you're actually racist and you don't know it. So that kind of morphed in my 6 years that I was there. And that
when you said Slack, I'm sorry, I pretended to know what you were talking about. I've heard
you don't know what Slack is?
Yeah, when you're on Slack.
You're talking to people without real jobs.
Oh, okay, so Slack is a messaging service.
No, we've spoken about it, Michael. Just remind me. Yeah.
So Slack is like a Jew chat. It's where everybody messages. Yes, maybe there's Jews in it, but like it's G chat. It's just it's a public space, so you could have like a general chat, and every single person in the company's in there.
Right.
So like when
I've been in it. I've been in it for certain.
And so like you would have
you're added to it for specific groups. Like
but you also have one that's the entire group. Yeah, you have culture, and so like when someone would be getting canceled on Twitter, that gets shared into Slack, and you're picking up on what's the in thing to think. And so for me, living in that environment for so many years, I am a white, cisgendered, like privileged person, straight. My oppressive points are lacking, other than being a woman.
You're low on the hierarchy.
So I'm very low on the hierarchy, unfortunately. I wasn't about to like become non-binary to like get points, but I
maybe
could have. So I basically spent many years self-censoring and not knowing what my internal truth was because I got all of my outside validation from the group. So cut two, I left in 2021 and I was starting to have misgivings by the time I was leaving, but never talking about it with anyone other than maybe a trusted friend. And then just being away from the group, I was at a nonprofit for a year and I sat next to Ricky Schlott. Do you know who she is?
I don't think so.
She's like a New York Post columnist. She's like 24 and she's like a libertarian, but she like went to NYU. She's just interesting. And she was like, oh my gosh, you should listen to Honestly with Bari Weiss. It's so good. And at that point, I thought Bari was an evil person because of what had been shared about her in my company Slack.
Wow.
When she was getting canceled and leaving the New York Times. So I was like, in my like brainwashed brain, I was like, Bari bad, even though it wasn't an examined thought. Then I listened to Bari's podcast and I absolutely loved it. And I was like, wait a minute. This was the nuanced conversations that I've been looking for. She talked about, her first interview was Kim Kardashian. That's what I listened to. That was the first episode I listened to. And they talked about Kanye wearing the MAGA hat. And it was just so crazy to me because I feel like every time I heard the word Trump, it was shut down and like TDS where people were like, whatever. And they were like, oh, like, what is it like when your family member wears a Trump hat and has different opinions than you? And I was like, wow, this is so measured. So that's a long way to answer your question, Michael.
What made you listen though? Because I think that's probably the difference between you and a lot of people. What made you go from Bari bad to, okay, I'll check it out?
Well, because where I was working was sort of trying to like create the whole premise of the thing was like getting people from different political views to talk. That's why like Ricky worked there. She was like libertarian, which was the most conservative person I'd ever worked with in like adult life.
And also
like,
you had these misgivings you described and you're like, I have to scratch that itch,
sure.
you know? So I have to see like, if this is like a weird curiosity or something that I need to prove is wrong. Having these
right. It's almost like
doubts.
An iceberg analogy, right? Where it's like you show this part of the iceberg and underneath was all of these misgivings and different opinions that I did not feel safe or that they were appropriate to share. And then like listening to Barry, I was like, oh my gosh, this is feeding my intellectual curiosity so much. And I just became a huge Common Sense at the time fan. And then 8 months later, I saw a job posting for social media editor. So I applied and just, wrote an email and they were like, holy shit, this is perfect fit. So then I started right when the company started, when we did like the Twitter files in 2022. And, but the thing is, it's like all of it sort of just kept shedding. And like, you could say it's like deprogramming, which is like so sad to say, but because it feels a little overstated, but really it was deprogramming where I started to be like, actually, this is what I believe. Like I always had really huge misgivings about the transitioning of minors. That was one thing for me. I was like, this seems really wrong, like on a spiritual like level and also an intellectual level. And I remember reading like Abigail Schreier's book in like 2019, like secretly. And I read Michael Schellenberger's book, Apocalypse Never, secretly in 2019, but I would never have shared that.
So,
and then just entering a safe space. Yeah.
Well, so what does it say about like the left-wing culture, left-wing media culture that you were a part of? How many other Lucys were there secretly with these opinions, with these misgivings, given that it felt like such an unsafe space, ironically, to express different points of view? You could look as different as you wanted, but you couldn't think as different as you wanted. That feels really unfortunate. I don't know if there's an equivalent version of that on the right. I'm sure there's obviously every place has their bias and audience capture where they feel they can't say certain things, but it certainly seems like a real signature in the space that you were in, that people really can't say what they believe in, especially pre-2024 era,
Oh, yeah, because you get canceled. And again, it's like, I'm the first to be sacrificed on the cross, like white privilege girl. I'm thinking about like how they would frame me anyway, and you're like, oh God, like you don't want to be called a racist. Like that's like the worst thing you can be called. So it's the spiral of silence that they talk about where you see one person get canceled and you go, well, I'm not doing that. And you just don't speak. And like, luckily being at the Free Press, I mean, it's like very encouraged to think for yourself. That's our tagline, which is like cheesy, but also like works so well. And like, it's just been a constant building back up of what do I actually believe. That took years. That's why I just started creating content 3 months ago to whatever May was, 2 months ago.
Right. So just to bring it now back to here, the challenge based on the evolution you describe in yourself is that we don't have 3 years to convince entire demographics of Mamdani or AOC voters to just flip a switch and change their mind, because what feels a little unfair is that, you weren't told back then at 25, these are all the right opinions, and then you just did it. There's a process. It's incremental. You have to really examine internally the misgivings you have, the doubts or the curiosities, and kind of explore that. Right. So it feels like, I don't know, boomer, how do you avoid this boomer lecture energy of just telling a bunch of kids they have the wrong opinions? Is socialism and left-wing ideology sort of this unavoidable phase that's part of a developmental maturing process to arrive at the convictions you have now, which are much stronger given your life experience and given the ideas you've been exposed to? Like, I wonder, and I wrestle with this question, what do you do? Because in the meantime, you can make decisions and elect and vote a certain way that could be very destructive in the long term, and then only come to realize it. So I don't know. Yeah. I
mean, I think it goes back to education and the way, like, and it's so funny because even when I started working at the Free Press, they'd be like, oh, this DEI is like worked its way. And I was like, socialing out the articles being like, okay, boomers, like I didn't get it. And then now that I've been there and I really understand this like DEI push over merit and like also this very anti-Western like slant that all of our education's taken on. You can see with like the campus protests that happen. Our education system has done such a poor job of inoculating young people against communism and socialism. I just read this really great piece by Rob Henderson on his Substack, where he talks about how in the US we spend semesters studying Hitler and fascism and understanding how fascism rose. And we spend maybe 5 minutes on Stalin or Pol Pot, who killed millions of people in Cambodia. These are names I didn't even really know. And the idea that like where communism has been tried hundreds of millions of people starve because they, take the means of production and it leads to famine or socialism too, So I think it's just, we don't teach people to really support and uphold the systems that are so unique to the West that we should be so excited about. Pluralism, freedom of speech, markets, capitalism, and it's the privileged water they're swimming in. And so they're trying to tear down something that makes their lives possible. And it's like, honestly, like such a huge mission, I think, for like where I work at the Free Press and now for me on my platforms and just using my story to try to break through, but it might not happen in time for Mamdani. I think this is going to be a decades long clawing back the power from this ideology that's truly permeated education, academia, the media. It's really, once you see it, you cannot unsee it, and you seem kind of crazy to people. But it's like it's the liberal blob. Like it truly is. Like they say, woke mind virus, and the first time you hear it, you're like, what? And then like you're like, oh wait, I see it. Yeah. And we just have to have more people model. It's okay. I'll tell you an anecdote too. So like, I get DMs, and one of my friends was saying like her sister's like very, very liberal, and all of a sudden her sister was being like, hell yeah, like in my DMs of stuff that I was posting. And I talked to my friend about it. She was like, Lucy, she just needed one person to like give her permission. Like, and I think that's like what I feel. I'm such a palatable package for a lot of people. My story, just the way that I present and speak, I'm not coming on, I'm relatable. And so maybe just the way that I present myself can get through to more people, because it's like, I was like you. And also they want, it's so sad because it's so emotional. I was shitting on socialism on my Instagram story. And I was like, I guess I wasn't, I'm so sad my parents weren't rich enough for me to ever become a socialist or something. And my old coworker messaged me. He was like, hey, Lucy. And it was actually really kind because I was like waiting for him to be like, fuck off. But he was like, you're being really dismissive of people who are like really hurting right now in this economy. But I was criticizing socialism. I'm not criticizing that people are hurting right now in the economy. And that's that communication thing.
So, I mean, on that point, how do you speak both against socialism and also criticize what has gone wrong with capitalism and acknowledge that for people who are struggling?
Yeah, I think I probably could do a better job of that. Like, I feel like I've had people be like, you're out of touch. And I'm like, oh, like, I don't want to be dismissive that people are suffering. But I also think it's almost like going back to the basics and realizing like socialism means like less freedom of choice. Like it means taking from people who are achievers and giving to a state that does not work. So like even if, and maybe like the next sentence I should say is, yes, our system does not work now, but before we're throwing more money at the system, why don't we fix the system? And like, that's probably the campaign slogan, right?
Well, just to push back, let's try to be very honest about this for a second in terms of the people who are, say, giving you feedback, negative feedback, pushing back on you in your DMs. Are they really the impoverished people Mamdani is claiming to fight for? Or are they actually people who aren't going to suffer that much, but they want to feel virtuous and have, I'm being very ungracious here, but I want to be accurate. The people who are saying, people are really hurting right now because you're taking away their sense of purpose. You're not denying them opportunities. So who is really getting upset here? I feel like the guys working in the bodegas who are now going to have to pay, what, $30 minimum wages? The people who are working in the working people Mamdani is claiming to fight on behalf of is really just to feed a sort of sense of purpose and virtue for this upper middle class cohort that you're taking that sense of purpose and virtue away from them. It's not the people who are reaching out to you in a DM and saying, hey, I'm working paycheck to paycheck at minimum wage and stop criticizing socialism. I just want to know where that really is coming from.
Preaching to the choir. I mean, it's so frustrating.
No, but isn't that dismissing though the problems that people with college educations who have decent jobs have? I mean that's kind of how I opened it with like sure, they are fine, but they were promised something by this system and so, they haven't gotten it yet.
But Michael, I get that. Want to, Lucy, if you can elaborate. The people are saying people are really hurting now. Michael, you're having sympathy for that, but I think people are confusing because Mamdani is not saying, I'm fighting on behalf of upper middle class college educated kids.
I know, but we know what he means. But we know what he means.
Well, what do you mean we know what he means? I don't think so. I think the people supporting him think he means the struggling working people they want to feel good about supporting.
Nobody from New York City thinks New York should be affordable. Like that's like a transplant to New York after college thing to say. Like everyone deserves to live in New York. No one from New York thinks that, I don't think.
Now Michael and I are arguing, which we tend to do. Lucy?
I love it.
What do you think, Lucy?
What do you think, Lucy? You're here.
My point is, hi, I'm Lucy. Okay, my take on this is that the leftist policies that have been enacted in the last decade have caused the affordability crisis. So the housing shortage that we just talked about is the rent control, right? Like we need less red tape, we need more opportunity to build, and I think also look at affordable housing. It's like such a like sacred cow, but like affordable housing translates to legit slums. I'm not joking. Like, or it's some like Greenpoint girl who's getting like $1,000 a month for a studio in some new building. I want single family homes. I want the path to ownership. Like I like the bodega owner and the small business owner, the first generation immigrant, the cab driver. Like that to me is the American that like they fucking get it, but they are not being heard, and like they want to like be able to buy a home in Queens or wherever and like multi-generation home or whatever they want to do. I don't know what they want to do, but I want them to be empowered to do it. Like I'm not for this top down like control. I'm for creating systems that help people. Look what happened. Have you guys followed what's going on in Argentina at all?
Javier's crushing it. A miraculous turnaround. Not a surprise.
I know. Not a surprise. And like, I think I fall more on the libertarian, small C conservative, like even Trump's like tariffs and stuff, which actually seem to be working. So I'm like, well, maybe I'm wrong. I don't like that. Like, I don't like that a 30% tariff could like put a small business owner underwater because they import from China, but they're like trying their best. Like, I hate that. Like,
yeah,
I think humans and like, it's like a value thing, right? Like for me, it's like humans are innovative, industrious, creative people. We've created civilizations throughout history that are so amazing. And when the government gets in the way of that, you just get stagnation, you get less freedom. And it's my mentality is humans are good. And I think these socialists think, no, humans are bad. We must control them from their worst instincts, like their greed. And I'm like, more like their desire to provide for their family. Like it's so twisted.
It's sort of a Reagan-esque model of like, I want the government to be out of the people's way so that the people can live better than they were 4 years ago. The tariffs are working great, by the way, Lucy. I don't know what you're talking about. They're working so great. But I actually think you solved it in the way you just outlined it. I think the mistake, the people trying to challenge Mamdani and AOC's messaging on is capitalism is good for rich people, even though socialism might be good for the poor, struggling people. We need the rich people, so we need capitalism to provide all the prosperity. But it's actually what you're saying is reverse. The reconfiguration is capitalism. Freedom is good for everybody, working people, poor people who want to achieve something and build a business and provide for their family. You need the freedom. Socialism is coercive. It's evil.
Yeah.
It involves controlling people, not rich people, but the very people it claims to advocate for by definition. I think that's the thing people need to conceptually understand is to connect socialism with control and less freedom. Right.
Yeah. And I think this is like such a thing that I find now that I'm not making all this content is like so an area of passion for me is saying the things that have been said a million times, but saying it in a way that feels new and relates to this new generation. Like when people are like, oh, you sound like a Milton Friedman economist, I'm like, ChatGPT, Milton Friedman? And I'm like, oh, yes. Freedom of markets. Like, but it's like, people don't fucking get that. Yeah. And like, even it's like and again, it's like all good ideas are recycled. And I'm sure I picked this up in like the ether, but like, make the personal political, right? Like every time I'm paying some stupid $1,500 a year tax on my car tires, I don't even know what the fuck is going on. It's like, I don't like that. Like, I don't want to be paying this tax. I don't know what this tax is going for. Now build that out, up and up and up. How many ways that we're paying stupid taxes? And I have really leftist family members. I won't say their identities because it'd be too identifiable, but like we'll rant and they'll be like, you right-wing nut. And then they'll be like, in the end of the day, I just want to pay less taxes. And I'm like, okay, guys, like, I'm sorry. Like, like I don't know what to tell you. I also had an old boyfriend of mine was really conservative when I was like obsessed with Obama, and he was like, and I was like, we need more government, and he was like, Lucy, what has the government ever done well that worked well? Like, what does the government do well right now? And I was like, fucking fascist, but then now it stuck with me. It was like a seed. Yeah, I was like, what does the government do well? So the more you can like maybe like say little, just poke little.
Yeah. 1,000 cuts and 1,000 cuts.
Yeah, death by 1,000 cuts,
for these
as T.
ideas.
Swift would say.
Let's go ahead. Well, I was going to ask, because you had experience directly with, like, working with AOC and these figures, I just wanted to shift into the difference between the message and the messenger. Part of it is that you feel like you can be a conduit for these ideas because you can relate from your personal experience, and you're not Mitch McConnell buttoned up saying, well, you school college kids are just a bunch of entitled brats. Well, you're not. It's not coming from that. The same with why Mamdani's messaging works. I'll be honest. I think politics is not about the substance and concepts. It's about the delivery and the ability to emotionally connect. Obama wins not on the platform, but on the rhetorical skill, and the same reason Romney and McCain lose. So I don't know. Take us to like what it's like around an AOC type of person.
Yeah.
Do you think are they being genuine? Maybe the voters are genuine in what they want and they want to express that, even if they're misguided. Are they more calculated and ambitious?
I think that they're genuine. I think that they're calculated, but I think that they're genuine. I knew AOC right in her come up, so she was not known when I met her. She was not famous. And I was really struck by her authenticity. Like, I felt like we were kindred spirits, right? And now I'm like a foil to her, but she doesn't like pay attention to me because she's like way more powerful. But I really liked her. I think her heart is in the right place. And I don't know what her internal story is, because I can't understand how you can be a thinking person and still be stuck where she is. The same way with Bernie Sanders. I'm like, you've been pushing the same bad ideas for 50 years, bro. Like, but even if you care, like, I think her care is so genuine. I think Mamdani is a little bit more snake oil salesman-y to me. Like, I don't like he put that he was African on his college application. He's like really from a rich family. AOC actually was working as a bartender. Like, she was sort of middle class, but struggling because her dad had died. Like, her story to me rings more true. And that's why I think people like her. And that's why you see the Trump AOC voter. But I think there's also hypocrisy, which must be hard, where it's like, you want everyone to be this, but then you have to live in a building with security, and like you have to make six figures because like you have a big job and like you deserve that. So I don't know how they live with like the cognitive dissonance. It would drive me nuts. But I do still I appreciate AOC. I feel like, and I said that in my piece. I was just like, I don't know if I said it, but even AOC supporters, like, I think that they mean well. They're they're naive.
Right. And imagine, you had a social circle that you had to sort of disentangle with and go up against. She's built an entire political identity and brand around these ideas. So wouldn't that be crazy if she pulled a Lucy? That'd be the craziest thing ever. If AOC flipped and became a hardcore capitalist.
How do we get out of this binary, right? And I was on another podcast and he was like, would you have one for office? And I gave some answer that was not that good, but I want to say it again here, practice it. It's I think if I was ever to run for office, it's my platform would be to find the people in every department who are smart and want to solve things and make the system work. And I would empower those people. There's every freaking school and superintendent or someone on the Department of Transportation. There are the people that I would be who are my people? And be okay, what do we need to do to bring down prices and increase whatever? And that to me, and if the answer ends up being more left or more right, or it's what you might not expect, I'm for it. I want what works. I want to do what works versus being I'm a Democrat and I believe we should do X, Y, and Z. It feels so old to me. And I think the spirit of Doge was that a little bit, but it came in so harsh in this package of the autistic freaks who were you need to get back to the office. And they're sir, there are not enough chairs in the office. I'm sorry.
Well,
the delivery, it was the thrust of it was great, but the delivery was awful. And so maybe the next wave of politicians can be that, where it's the Democrats, I think I said this already, run on making the system work, right? Run on, I believe in the system. I believe in a welfare state. I believe in the government. I believe in collectivism, but we've got to make it work. And before I'm going to charge anyone any more money, we're going to figure out how to fix what we already have. Because why would we trust them giving us any more money?
Right. Well, Lucy Biggers 2028. Let's make it happen, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, can I ask one more question? You mentioned the Trump AOC voter. what do you see happening in 2028 if Mamdani is signifying anything?
I don't think it will ever work on a national scale. Thank God.
The message you don't think will?
I don't think so.
No.
I think he'll win in big cities, but he will never win the.
Oh no, not him, but like
not him, but like that.
An AOC
I just
running.
Don't think okay, I still don't think a woman could ever win, because what it kind of comes down to almost this base level of fear, and it's like, do you really want AOC up against the Ayatollah? Like, absolutely not. I'm sorry. Like, and I think that it's just a gut level intuition from people. It's like AOC cannot hang with like Putin.
But Margaret Thatcher could. But I hear what you're saying.
Okay, but she's badass.
Yeah, you need a real badass. But I think you're saying though that the socialist message on a national level, it's just so in defiance of the American spirit and culture, like it would be.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it'll be JD Vance, unless there's like a recession or something crazy. Like I think it'll be JD Vance will win, is my guess. And I think the Democrats should put up a socialist. Like let the party try. Mm-hmm. You're going to see like Tucker Carlson all of a sudden becoming a Democrat.
Yeah. For sure. Well, the problem with
going
populism.
To be horseshoe.
Yeah, they'll call it populism, not socialism.
Yeah. The thing is, that's why you see tariffs on the Trump side, is that what they will do is in the name of, they will redefine America first to be socialistic. Mm-hmm. That's the problem. And they're already doing it. The woke right is tribal, is collectivist, and
I don't like it.
Is playing in these same old tropes that are not based in principles and pragmatism, which is what you're talking about, where you're trying to look for sort of that free press spirit of like, look, we can disagree on our ideologies and our dogmas. We maybe come from different places or have different kinds of motivations or agendas, but there are certain things that work. Capitalism is not only moral, it's also true. It's also effective. Like the practical and the moral kind of find their middle ground. And yes, I think trying to pass certain policies so you can signal that you're still Team Democrat or Team Republican make a lot less sense if the application of such things, is irrelevant. It's more about what you're signaling.
Yeah, it'll be interesting too because I was just gonna say with 2020 whatever 30 2030
28. Well, we're in 2025
I'm like,
now. What's
24 plus 4? Okay, 2028. With Trump out of the picture, like as he runs for a third term,
third term's coming so strongly. Yeah.
We're not calling it a third term. We're calling it something else.
Yeah. America's term.
Extension. A slight extension.
But I think that with Trump out of the picture, I think it'll be so interesting to see if say JD picks up the mantle, like he's a less polarizing figure. Like Trump drives people crazy. And even when he's doing largely popular, 80% popularity, policies, there's just a certain segment that can't let it go. And so will they transfer that onto JD, but he's such a more moderate, measured person. And I'm wondering if his version of Trump could really like bring the country together. And I do like that he's become more hawkish. He's become more realist. I feel like he was a little bit of that like isolationist being like, no war. But now he's like, listen, guys, like they're bad guys out there. And like sometimes you have to do hard things to protect something good. And like, I don't like the woke right. And like, they annoy me.
As we're talking, I could totally see AOC doing with podcasts what Trump did, where she talks to Rogan for 3 hours and then you're like, she's not into the gender stuff anymore and the woke stuff. She's actually kind of cool. I kind of like what she has to say. I can totally see that happening.
I mean, you just manifested that. Let's go to 2027. I see it.
100%. And I also see that in a post-Trump victory where I think the woke excess of the left became so overbearing and it burst basically. I mean, Barry spoke about this. We came from a place where you couldn't say anything to a place now where transgression is in say anything without consequence. And I think that a lot of the podcaster space that had Trump on and had these people on to support them to sort of eliminate this common enemy of the enemy of comedy, the enemy of freedom, the enemy of free speech in woke left-wing excess. Now that that's defeated, a lot of those people are going to go back to what they were. Everyone's like, we need to find the liberal Joe Rogan. And I'm like, you have one. It's Joe Rogan. He's always been that way. And I think they're going to now, you see Bernie Sanders going on Flagrant, talking to Andrew Schultz, and you see people making the rounds. They're trying to shed what didn't work and was totally rejected in 2024, the identity politics, getting rid of he, him, her in their bios, and instead are going for this economic. Yes, They're pivoting now, though, to this like economic populist message of war for the working people. They're trying to recapture that. It seems very like an obvious play that they're not going to go on, you're a white male, sit down, but more like you're a struggling person no matter what your race is, and we're going to be the ones for you. It seems
and
like
it's going to have to be the messenger. Like AOC can get away with that because like she is a Latina woman. So like, but like you saw when the Abundance Bros went out there, like Derek Thompson and Ezra Klein or whoever it was. And was it Ezra Klein? I forget.
Yeah.
But they're like, I think you still see the comment section. It's like, okay, white men, like, of course, this is what you're focusing on.
Yeah, it's still there. It's all still there. I don't know. People are kind of tired of that, but it reforms and evolves into a new thing. It's not dead, you know?
I think also what's happening right now is like, when you look at Andrew Cuomo, why he can't say anything of substance is because he's like a lobotomized Democrat where like he's so afraid of getting canceled that he can't say what he believes. Like, I think actually, want to hear my hot take? I know we're getting close to the end. I think Kamala Harris is a secret conservative. And I think that's why she could not string sentences together. Because she does not know what she fucking believes. And so she's so freaking lobotomized, trying to fit in with what her group says to believe, that when you ask her questions, they make no sense because her internal foundation is completely overrun by getting acceptance from the group. And she used to be a hard-ass prosecutor, putting people, like her old videos, I was like, you were like a fucking conservative, like, you were a conservative Democrat, and now you can't say any of that stuff because you don't want to be canceled. So you say stupid shit.
I don't think she's a closet conservative. I think she's just so out of touch and is blind looking for the pulse as she talks about an issue. So she, Gavin Newsom's trying to do the same thing, and they both are different levels of skill about dancing around the issues. Obama kind of had this skill of being able to say a lot of things without saying anything. And Kamala is just like, well, so what we need to do is to try to do the work that needs to be done, and that time is every day. I don't think she doesn't have a core. She's looking for the pulse. What can I say now that will resonate and make a soundbite? That will make a
Your
soundbite.
Your impersonations are so good. Is this like what you're known for?
A little bit. I guess you don't follow me on Instagram either. Busted.
I do not. I will. I'm follow, hit and follow.
You don't have to tell me what Kamala Harris sounds like. Believe me, I know it well. But I actually think it's just looking for the problem with the old school politician that makes Trump so appealing is Trump gets up there. You could say what he said wasn't true. It was exaggerated, it was malice, but he meant it. He meant it. No matter what it is, whether it's an exaggeration, whether it's economically sound, Trump means what he says. The other people are trying to find what you want to hear. And that's very obvious to people right now. As you're watching Gavin Newsom say, I'm trying to be a podcast, bro. We're doing everything we can do. And he's trying to be slick. And they're like,
infuriating.
What do you mean you're doing an investigation on what happened in COVID? You were in charge during COVID. He's like, but we're looking back on it. We're doing the most thorough investigation. None of that stuff.
How about the billions of dollars they spent on homelessness and it's like never been worse? California is such a shit show.
They're trying to, I lived there for 10 years. They're trying to position themselves for 2028 as like, let me see. Ooh, authenticity was popular. So I'm going to try to be authentic. That's like an oxymoron. Ugh. Oh, boy. But you know what? I don't know, Michael, I don't know about you. I feel pretty optimistic because if Lucy's a case study based on your experience, like it sounds like there's this quiet whisper. Take me a little bit more before we wrap up into your DM space. There's been a lot of this like progressive abandonment when it came to Israel post October 7th and the way people were coming out as pro-Israel. And my God, they received this wave of isolation and hate. All my old colleagues and friends, they become Hamas supporters. They don't talk to me, whatever that is. Have you seen that in your world? And on the economic side, as someone who was so out front with the climate and AOC and campaigning for these ideas, like anyone you're still in touch with who said, thank you, by the way, I'm still here. Help me get me out. Or is it more hate? Tell me. Yeah.
So much. So when I kind of came out of the closet, ideological closet, like a month ago on my Instagram, because I had been posting on TikTok for a month, but I was afraid to make the leap to Instagram because that's really where I knew people were going to see. Yeah. I did my first video and I did Mamdani, and then the next day I did a follow-up video. I was like, listen, guys, I haven't made content in 5 years because all my ideas have changed. And I just started to I've noticed that we have a lot of anti-West ideology, right? And I think for some people who aren't up on it and they're like more like NPCs, they are like, what, anti-West? Like they don't like see it because like they're just swimming in it. And they're like, of course we hate ourselves. Of course we're pieces of shit. Of course America sucks. Like, of course you like Hamas, like whatever. But I got really surprising. I got a 2-minute voice memo from this kid, this black guy that I was I have black friends, guys, but no, but this black guy that I've been friends with for years. We were interns together in New Orleans at a local news station. We've kept up. He left me a 2-minute voice memo being like, "Hey, Lucy, like, thank you so much." He goes, "I've had the same evolution as you. Like, I voted for Trump. I can't talk about it, but I resonate with everything that you said." I was like, "Whoa, that's awesome." And then I had another girl who's like a documentary filmmaker in the environmental movement who made a really big documentary back in the day. And we were friends, have not talked in 10 years. She messaged me and she said, "Hey, Lucy, I've had the exact same evolution as you. I'm still trying to figure out what I need to do next, but like I feel this way." And then I get messages all of the time, people sharing their own stories, saying, "I work in academia, I'm a scientist, but I'm a white male, and I've seen this oppressed mindset enter my workspace, but I can't speak out because of my identity. I know that they will cancel me." So it's so real. And like the more that I do it, the more there's like a fire in my belly to like keep going, because I'm like, oh my God, this is like, I thought it had peaked, and I think it has peaked, but I think the spiral of silence is still pervasive. We're not canceling people as much, but people are not speaking out. So it's everywhere.
The silent majority that we need to elevate and give voice to, because that's actually so encouraging, because it seems like there's this counter revolutionary spirit where like all of a sudden you feel this pressure to be like, hey, yeah, sure, I love Mamdani.
Yeah.
I don't know. Or even on the college encampment that I always judge harshly as a collective, I just wonder, like, these are 20-year-old kids, and then all of a sudden they get home and they hear about what's really going on, or they look at what Hamas believes and they're like, something's wrong. But if you don't have the...
I would love to talk to those kids who have done that. Yeah. And that's like, again, I'm like, my like mission, I love like free thinkers. It's like so free press coded, hilarious. But just people who think for yourself, and like I'm like call them like free thinkers. Like the people that I follow on TikTok, there's so many creators that are so interesting that don't neatly fall into any camp, and they're really smart, really critical thinkers. They're not emotional, and they're emerging as big presence. A lot of them are on the right. A lot of them have fallen into the Trump camp because it's such a big umbrella, a big tent. But I want a healthy Democratic Party too. I want there to be a healthy foil to it, because we know the downsides of the right and where it can go. But I think right now the free thinkers are finding their home on the right. But let's empower more people to come out.
With all the like algorithmic media now, you have to increasingly be a stronger and stronger free thinker to ever even see anything that isn't already in your bubble. I wonder if like down the road there'll be like algorithm law where like there's like by law they need to slip in like if you're far right or far left piece of content.
Like one every 10 videos.
Exactly, just so you're exposed to something new. You know,
I don't like more laws and regulations, so I'm going to say no. I'm going to say let's the market decide.
Well, that could backfire, because then who decides, right? Then all of a sudden, you're like, there's who decides what's far right and far left. We're going to say lowering taxes is far right, so now we need to show them. That's the devil's in the bloody details.
My younger cousins, like, one of them is like a Trumpy, and then one of them is like an SJW, like fully hijacked by the woke mind virus. And they think I'm crazy. They're like, well, no, the Trump person's like, yes, but then the other one's like, you suck. And I'm like, okay.
Right.
I don't know what their algorithm is all I'm saying. I like would be so afraid to see.
It's the debate the challenge is you can't fast track this development. It has to be, in order for it to be real, in order for the convictions to form authentically, it has to be done almost comparable to the way you did it. But I think the rebranding of it, Michael?
No, but it's interesting to know you made that flip before the algorithms got even better and better and better. Like it's going to get harder and harder and harder for anyone to make that flip, no matter what. I think, like 2020 was a different time than 2025. If you're on social media, it's
right.
I think also, but it's weird because I feel like my TikTok algorithm, when I downloaded TikTok in 2020, I was very left, and I think TikTok made me more conservative. And I think that there's research out there that says people who spent more time on TikTok became more conservative, because I think right now, at this moment in time, I think that the conservatives are making better arguments. They're the ones calling out COVID lockdowns, right? And I'm kind of like, I feel weird about these lockdowns. And then someone's like, the lockdowns are bullshit. And I'm like, who are you? Okay. So like even like Candace Owens, I think she's crazy, but like sometimes she has a good take. And so you'll be like, oh, am I agreeing with Candace Owens? Like, I don't agree with her on many, 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 many things. But once in a while, broken clock, right twice a day. And all of a sudden you're going, maybe she's not that bad.
She's sharp.
Well,
she's got a gift.
She does.
She's got a gift.
Gift from below.
We can. I actually do agree that when I first got on TikTok, that was the one place where you could say a lot more things and express a lot more range of views without a YouTube violation or all that stuff. It was a lot more of a Wild West. I think post October 7th, there was a shift that went on where the TikTok algorithm, whether it was bots or like just tons of pro-Hamas, anti-Western content, started to fill it, where you're watching Hamas terrorists live stream. We're here, and like literally people watch. I would find that and I'd be like, oh my God. And like the Free Palestine bot army, like you post. So I wouldn't post Israel stuff on there because it was just so toxic. But before that, it was this open Wild West of ideas, which I think leans conservative because for whatever reason, that sort of that turning point youth culture that was leaning conservative. I think it's that the echo chambers are growing in their corners, and it's more of a binary now where
haven't you seen that graph where it's like they map the beliefs of the Democratic Party? I don't know how like data visualization works, but like there was this meme and it was like mapping the beliefs of the Democratic Party, and like the space that it covered was like this big, and then it was like mapping the beliefs of the Republican Party, and it was this big because people have all these different, like on abortion, like foreign intervention, like you have all these disparate but I was just going to say, just like going back to Israel thing, I almost posted a video today and then I did not post it because the Israel thing to me it's so fucked up. Like the misinformation that I see on my Instagram feed of people showing starving children from fucking Yemen on like in memes and being like, save the children in Gaza. And I'm like, you are a useful idiot. And I feel like everything that I speak about, it's so tied into also like the Israel fight, because really Israel is fighting for the West in the Middle East. And all these useful idiots are flying Hamas flags. They have no idea what they're doing. They're NPCs. And I need to make a video about it that's really thoughtful, because I feel like you have to really be conscious of it. But I have friends, my Jewish coworkers, they don't want to wear their Jewish star because they're afraid.
Post it, Lucy. Post the video. Do it.
Just post it.
Do it. Post it.
I'm going to. I don't know if it's going to be the version that I made, but like I started just ranting, and then you're like, wait, am I getting all my facts right?
Post it. Just post it.
But I'm like,
don't second.
Why are you guys rooting for fucking a terrorist organization that does not allow plurality of religion?
Right.
Like you cannot critique the government. Like there's no freedom of speech, and that's who you think is the good guy. Let's just stop there. Let's just stop there.
I know why. Because
who's winning by you doing that?
Well, if you hate your country and yourself and your upbringing and all the values that you were given, and you think the plot twist is that it's flipped, then you also align with the people who agree with that sentiment. I also hate your country. I also hate your values. And there's something almost enlightening or seductive about it. And all their teachers around them encourage them, like, hey, plot twist, America's the bad guy, Israel's the bad guy, the whole time. So I look forward to hearing your voice out there, Lucy. Keep fighting the good fight. And where can people find you? Where are the best places? I'm going to follow on Instagram, obviously.
I need to follow you.
Yes.
So Lucy Biggers. I'm Lucy Biggers on Instagram, and then I'm Lucy Biggers on TikTok. I post more on TikTok, and then I post like my more polished things on Instagram, I guess. I'm on Twitter, but nothing is really new on there. And I'm on Substack.
Are you strategizing to meet people where they're at in person, doing events, taking Q&As, things like that? Is that something you're thinking about?
I mean, we'll see where this goes. I'm literally 2 months into like my new era. So it's been awesome, the opportunities that I've gotten. And then like working at the Free Press, like we have events, and I work with, it's already like the infrastructure is already there for like Free Press supporters and subscribers, like my content. So it's been an easy sort of marriage of stuff, but it's so early days. So I would love to meet more people and keep going and seeing where it goes. So just the beginning, follow along.
Well, I look forward to the continued evolution, and thank you for speaking out, being brave. I think it's going to empower a lot of people. And thanks for joining us here. We really appreciate it.
You guys are awesome. Thank you so much.